Tom Vasel, and you are here watching the AlphaBest series. This is a series of lists based on my top 10 games for each letter of the alphabet. There are lots of amazing games out there, and this is a way to talk about games that don't normally get talked about, especially when we get to the letter I, right? And yet, every game on this list I do enjoy. So let's get started. Number 10. This one is not so easy to pronounce. I think it's Im Zeichen des Kruises. The translation of this is In the Sign of the Cross. This is a game based on the Crusades, although it takes a more realistic look, as each person's in charge of a Crusader army, and you're going around and sacking different cities, including your own Christian cities. But it's a little odd thematically, I guess, but I mean historically accurate. But it uses the cube tower. Oh, love this game where you drop the cubes in the tower to see who wins. Certainly a fighting game. There are certainly a few problems with this game. It probably needs a complete overhaul, and that's probably why it never came out in English. But I do enjoy the game, if for nothing than the cube tower battles. Number 9 is Ikusa, which was a reworking of Samurai Swords, or Shogun, one of the original Game Master series. There's Axis and Allies, Fortress America, and Shogun. Well, they reprinted it as Ikusa. This is a samurai Risk. This is a much better version of Risk, as you have these armies and you're going around and fighting each other, and there's different types of units, and you have archers, and you have these daimyo, which you are trying to protect, and there's ninjas, a little cool bidding aspect to it. If you like Risk and you want something more, this is the something more you're looking for. Number 8 is a mean game called Intrigue. In fact, Jason and I reviewed this game a few weeks ago. Intrigue is a small game where you are hiring other people to work for you, or you're hiring their relatives. So I'm sending my relatives out to work for other people. You're sending yours out for me. I'll say, here, I'll give you a bribe. Please hire my guy. You're like, sure, and you give him a terrible job. Or you say, sure, and then you don't give them a job at all. And there's this back and forth. This is not for people who can't stand people stabbing them in the back, because it will happen consistently throughout the entire game, which mercifully is short, and yet I like it. It feels like diplomacy in a small amount of time, and that's how much I want to deal with a game like that for. That is Intrigue. Number 7 is a silly game, and people are like, how could this possibly make your list? Because I just love it. That's Igloo Pop. Igloo Pop, you have these little igloos, and inside these igloos are little beads, which are Eskimo children. And you are picking them up and shaking them and trying to guess how many are inside. And that's the game. It's silly and fun. Every time I brought it out, it's been a hit. People are like, oh, what is this game? It's really weird, but we like it. I do too. Still my collection. Igloo Pop. Number 6 is a game that unfortunately seems to have fallen off the radar for many people, and that's Infiltration. Now, Infiltration is a game that's set in the Android universe, and I really enjoyed it. Essentially, you are all going inside a base, hacking your way in, and you have to figure out how far you're going to go in before you get out. Think of it almost as a very advanced gamer version of Ink and Gold. And maybe it was a little too advanced in gamers, but it's not really. It's fairly simple. A lot of fun. How far were you going before you decide to book it out there with special abilities and things like that? Infiltration. Number 5 is Inhabit the Earth. This game just came out from Richard Breese, where you are taking these different species, animal species, and you are evolving them and growing them and trying to take over different continents with them. It's not so much in each other's faces like Dominant Species is, but more of a racing game as you try to be the first to the top in each of the different continents. There's a lot of fun in this game, a lot of different options as I take these cards and how's this species, am I going to involve them? You know what, they're not really doing well in Africa, I'm going to move them over to South America. Some cool concepts in the game, even if the animals have very buggy eyes. Number 4 is from Portal Games, and that is Imperial Settlers. Imperial Settlers is a wonderful game in which you are building your own civilization with cards, and you're going to be playing different cards which will give you more resources, or they give you special abilities. You can even attack other players. You can't absolutely destroy other players, and this game finds a very nice balance between attacking other people and messing them over, but not so much that they're out of the game. And so it's a back and forth as you collect resources, use those resources to get more cards. Each card could be used in multiple ways. Very solid game, also very popular, Imperial Settlers. Number 3 is another negotiation style game, which is kind of mean, and that is I'm the Boss. This is probably the oldest game on my list from Sid Saxon, as players are trying to split an inheritance, and you're like, okay, we're going to split this amount, and I'm the boss, and I'm going to give this amount to you, and let's get this together. No, I'm the boss. We're going to do it this way. A lot of back and forth, a lot of fun negotiation. If you can't work with other people, you don't want to play this game at all. But if you can in any sort of way, this game is a unique experience which not many other games cover. Number 2 is Ink and Gold. I mentioned Infiltration as being somewhat like Ink and Gold, but Ink and Gold is just so simple, so easy. Will you go farther into the temple, or are you going to run out? And if you run out, you get to take the jewels that you've collected along the way. A simple choice, and yet you're sitting there thinking, what is Bob going to do? What is Sam going to do? What is Susan going to do? What is Alice going to do? I think they're going to all stay in. Now's my chance to run. Now they ran too. Now we got to split everything. Outguessing your opponents, a lot of fun in this one. It also goes up to 7 players. Just a perennial favorite for us. That's Ink and Gold. Number 1 is Innovation. I love Innovation. Now, I liked Innovation. When the first expansion came out, I loved it. Innovation is a game that I actually think is best with 2 players. It is chaotic. It is crazy. You will play cards that blow the other person up. Then they'll play a card and mess you over. Then you'll play a card that does some cool combo. And you're going back and forth, and some people hate the randomness of it. But I think it's more of controlled chaos than random, because you can figure out what's going on. You're going to take cards and say, I'm going to put this card here. Oh, he did that. I'm going to counter him here. Or I'm going to have the most of this certain type of resource. Now, whenever he does that action, I'm going to do that action also. And there's some very intriguing back and forth things that you can do. And with 2 players, it's more controlled, I think, than with 4. But either way, the cards can be used in multiple ways. As you can see, it's a theme of mine that I do enjoy. Innovation, just a lot of fun. Check it out. So those are my top 10 games with the letter I. I think those are pretty good games, actually. Next week, J. Some good games there, too. I'll see you then. Thanks for watching the AlphaBest list. Until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and this has been The Dice Tower.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.